Good evening, and this is Free to Heal, and I'm Noreen McClendon, your facilitator, and this is another week of Free to Heal where we come together every week. We are formerly incarcerated as well as loved ones, and we come together every week so that we can heal the ravages of mass incarceration, heal the wounds of what happened to us, and as a result of coming in contact with mass incarceration. And so tonight, you know, once you have identified the wounds that you have, the trauma, we spend a lot of time here. Our goal is for all of us to be better so that we can help the people that we come in contact with and improve the relationships that we have and just be better. Well, part of that requires us to identify what the heck is our problem, right? Because guess what? Even though we may have three people that have been incarcerated, their experiences are not all the same. This is not a cookie cutter kind of a situation. There are things about the experience that are unique. And so our goal is first to identify individually. We spend a lot of time here trying to focus on us as individuals. Let's fix us, and then we could be better for the other people. One thing is for sure, we know for a fact we can't change anybody, nobody. That's not given to us. So, what can we do? We can change our response to them. We can remove ourselves from the situation, or we can choose to deal with whoever they are, wherever they at, wherever we find them. But what we can't do is point our fingers at everybody else and think that that's going to solve or fix our problem. So what tends to happen is we talk about things and they can be deep. We've had some deep conversations over the past few weeks, and but it's necessary if you're ever going to get to the root of the problem. And that's the only way to fix it is to know what the root of the problem is so that you can then work on it to fix it. So one of the things that I know is a big deal in how people repair the damage. And that is something that I wrote about in my book, but also that Don Miguel Ruiz wrote about in his four agreements. And the agreement that this ties to is being impeccable with your word. Now, this is not about me promising you something and making sure I do what I said. That's simple integrity. If I commit to something, just do what I said I was going to do. Another thing that I find in that regard is if I said something once, I need to be able to say it again. So I tend not to say stuff if I can't repeat it. In other words, I'm not going to tell Roberta something about Tony that I can't repeat to Tony in Tony's face. That's just my own personal standard. If I don't feel like I would want to repeat that to Tony, I'm not going to tell it to Roberta. I keep it to myself. Why? Because I'm not messy. I don't like drama. I don't like mess, and I don't like doing that stuff. So that's one of the ways that I keep that down. Excuse me. But one of the things that I say in the book, and it's I believe that we are what we believe we are. And in the four agreements, in that agreement about being impeccable with your word, Don Miguel Ruiz talks about being impeccable with what you tell yourself about yourself. Now, it does include if I tell you something, to do what I say or whatever. But what I got that was the most powerful part of that book and that particular agreement was be impeccable with what I tell myself about myself. If I'm constantly telling myself that I'm a victim, likely I'm going to attract victimizers because that's where my focus is. If I tell myself I can't do this, then I can't. I won't. So I believe that we are what we believe we are. And that is why I saw something that said, guard your thoughts like your life depends on it, because it does. Because it does. It does. What you see in your life right now is the result of the thoughts you've been thinking about yourself for years. That's kind of harsh for some people, because we don't want to like, I think I told you, I know, in fact, I know I told you guys a lot. I've said it more than one time, that the hardest day in the world for me, the most painful thing ever I had to do when I was in so much pain, was look myself in the mirror and acknowledge it was my fault. That required me to look at me and take responsibility for the nasty condition, which was I was in pain from the time I woke up till I went back to sleep, and had to start smoking weed so I could go to sleep. Okay, it was bad. It was bad. It was emotional pain, but it started to feel like a physical pain. So that was horrible. And but I had to admit, and it was the most painful thing. But what it did was, it was the day I was also able to start healing. I could then heal because I knew where the problem was. It wasn't the man that hurt me. It was me. It was me. And why did I stay? I also write in my book, because from a young child, I began to believe, based on a relationship with my dad, I began to believe that if I didn't do all the work, a man would not stay. And if he had a reason why he was going through what he was going through, that I was supposed to just suffer in silence with that and give him a pass for that. Forget what I needed. That wasn't the issue. The issue was, he would do better later. Yeah, okay. And how long was I supposed to wait for that? But keep in mind, nobody told me that. I told me that shit. Mm, I told myself that lie. Okay. And then I had to eat it. I had to deal with it, because then I had to figure out how not to let that happen again. So we can have what we believe we can have. We cannot, however, have more than we believe we are entitled to or deserve. Non-belief removes the requirement to work hard to achieve. If I just believe, if I don't believe that I'm capable of having anything, and I don't believe that this is available to me, then I don't have to do no work. It's a foregone conclusion that I'm not going to succeed. Well, that's a perfect excuse not to do nothing. Goddamn scaredy cat. You know what I'm saying? Chicken Little. You know what I'm saying? Get your ass out here and go do something. Something. You know what I'm saying? But at some point, you're going to have to do something. And again, as long as you decide that you can't, you're not going to. So what is it that you believe about yourself that's got you, that's holding you back? What is it that you believe? Okay. Um, a very smart woman named Angela gave me one of my favorite sayings. There's no such thing as a free ride in a fancy car. So listen, you may be riding in a car with somebody and it may be theirs and you may think you're doing something, but it was an old saying in the 70s, cash, ass, or grass, nobody rides for free. The hippies used to say that. Well, that's the truth. Listen, even I had a young lady tell me that she wanted to be a kept woman. And I'm like, okay, but do you know what that means? Do you realize how much work that is? That's not free. When you're a kept person, man or woman, what that means is you're at that's that person meeting their needs. That's your job. At their beck and call, that is your job. Whenever, so even when it's not perceived that way. So I know of a famous couple, and the husband's very, very successful. The wife has been with him forever. They was together since they were teenagers. Lovely couple. But a friend of mine engaged with the wife, and she was very jealous about this particular wife's lifestyle. And the wife tried to tell her, look, you think this is easy. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. If he said, she said, I could have cooked all day and plan dinner, and he call and say, I'm not coming. I need a meeting just came up. I need for you to drop what you doing, go get dressed and meet me so and so. And that's what she got to do. Not from a dictate from him, but she understands her position, that is her job, to be there when he says so, to make sure that his life at home, that meant she, in a lot of instances, when you have really highly successful men like that, it's like almost being single and being a single parent if you have children, because a lot of times they're away because they're working. Right? So they're working and you got to take care of the house. You got to make sure everything gets done. Now, yes, in a lot of instances, they have people to assist and they hire people and all that. But a lot of people don't want that. A lot of, people don't want people in and out of their house. I had some friends, and literally she said there were so many people that had keys to their house, between the pool people, the lawn people, the da-da-da. It was like a revolving door of people that all had keys to their property, because they needed to get in to get their work done when they weren't home. But again, that becomes your job. And there is no such thing as a free ride, y'all. People think, oh, well, you know what? Them people in prison, they should be grateful. They got 3 hots and a cot. If they had any idea what the cost of that is, any idea what the cost of it physically as well as emotionally is, the toll that it takes on families and communities, there's no way they would consider that a free ride. Okay? But so people believe, again, what their life is a reflection of what they believe about it. It is so simple but true. Anything worth having is going to require work. You want something, you got to work for it. It doesn't matter who you are. None of us get to skate and ride for free. So what I want to find out from you guys, because I like it when y'all talk to me, I want to know, what kinds of things have you had to overcome? What kinds of thoughts did you have about yourself that you've had to overcome to help you progress? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it's interesting that you should say that we have to change or recognize our thinking. I just did my psychology class Monday, and the only thing that's yours is what's in your head, what's in your brain, and how you perceive that is what you are. You can act on it, you can work on it, or you can just be lazy, or you go a little bit about both. What we're talking about in my classes.
Patrick, 1 second. I don't know, Patrick. I don't know whether your microphone is kind of going in and out of your talk. Maybe okay, if you hold it still or something. I'm not sure. But I want them to hear what you're saying for sure.
Okay. In my psychology class, we were talking about the only thing that's truly ours is how we think, how we perceive stuff. And it could be good, it could be bad. And we're basically saying, don't let society and others around you dictate what you want to do. If you want to strive and be a better person, think about it in your head and go out and do it. Like you said, nothing's free. You got to strive, you got to work. And it's funny, you're saying you read some of this in a book. Well, you remember Tony Roberts. Tony Roberts says, believe in yourself and believe that you can do more, and you will.
Wow.
If you put positive surroundings around you, then it's more, not easy, nothing's easy, but it's more advantageous that you can do stuff. So, you have to work. You have to be in a good environment. And, we talk about stress and the insanity. Don't do stuff over and over again when you know it's going to be negative.
Right.
That's crazy. You're not
looking
going
for a different result. It ain't going to happen.
Yeah. You're not going to get a different result, even though you see other people do the same thing and they get different results. But like I said, we don't know what other people are going through. We don't know their influences. So it may look like they're doing something and we want to do it soon too, but we don't get the same results. Do what you believe works for you.
Yeah, and you know what? And one of the reasons that you may not get the same result as they get is you're not thinking the same thing they're thinking. In other words, your belief system about you is not their belief system. So it looks like you're both doing the same thing. You're, trying the same thing. You're working as hard. And ultimately they succeed and you don't. But it's really not about necessarily just the work, but their belief system and what they believe. So that's awesome. But it's great. I always love it when I bring up things and you say you guys have been talking about it in your psychology class, because I don't have a degree in psychology. I just know people, right? And I also
Yeah.
know a pattern. There is a pattern that operates the universe, and I understand that very well. So that helps me to have insight. And once I see a pattern, I know that it's real. But I do know that you gotta believe. You gotta believe what you can do. So that's awesome. Sure, you had your hand up as well.
I want to go back to the beginning. You said that we all have a different experience. And I just like to say first that the experience has to come that men do different time and women do different time. And first, so when the comparisons come and we're faulted for the way we are, then people should really think like, okay, men are we're separate, right? And we don't do time the same. And it's very annoying when people say things about us like they really know, but I didn't see you with your penis in prison with me, right? So, and I wish they would think about that before they make comments about how women are and the way they came out of incarceration. And then I wanted to say, when you were saying about being impeccable with your word, my favorite one was don't take it personal. But be impeccable with your word. You're absolutely right. When you speak out your mouth, you're going to have what you say. And you cancel out your stuff when you say, yeah, and then you say, well, I don't think I can do it. But you have to be point on about saying out your mouth. I'm going to beat this. I'm going to do this. I'm this way. I am beautiful. I am smart. I am going to be successful. In fact, I am successful.
Yes.
You have to be point on in what you're saying.
Yes. And even if you don't, and I think that's really important, is what you don't say out loud to yourself is really the scary part. That's where the destruction comes. That's where our hindrances are. So again, remember what I said about my circumstance. I didn't even know initially for years why I functioned the way that I did. I knew that I always wanted to be understanding when it came to men. I didn't want them to feel pressured and all this kind of stuff, but I didn't know where any of that came from. And eventually it hit me all the way back to when my dad was in that hospital. And it's one of my earliest memories. And it had me putting aside the fact that I had not seen him in a long time. And I needed to spend my time with my daddy. But he was in a hospital. And although he looked the same, he talked the same, all those kind of things, my nana said he was sick. So I put aside what I needed to make sure he was okay. And throughout my relationship with him, I always felt like if I didn't maintain that connection, that we wouldn't have one. And again, nobody told me that. I was a kid. I wasn't even in first grade yet, to tell you how young I was. So, but this is something in the mind of a child. This is something that stuck with me and became a part of how I functioned. And so I'm saying a lot of times we don't even know that's what we're thinking. It's not even right conscious right in the front of your forefront that I think this. But whatever it is, you function from what you believe about yourself. Now, the one, Cheryl, about not taking it personal, that saved my life and kept me out the penitentiary. Mm-hmm. Because with that, I was recently, and I've shared with you guys my concerns with my familial relationship with my brother and everything. And because I'm more prone to fight when I'm hurt than when I'm angry, he really hurt me to accuse me of doing things to harm him. That really, it hurt me really bad because he's one of my favorite people on the planet. And I knew I hadn't done anything, but I would have defended myself against it if I had not understood what Don Miguel Ruiz said, which is don't take that personal, because whatever he's saying has more to do with how he feels about him than it has anything at all to do with you. Exactly. And I was like, okay, that saved me, because I know we would have fought. It would have been bad. It would have been bad because, again, I would have responded with fight instead of just ignoring it and dismissing it. The other thing that did too for me was it caused me not to have to stress about everything. Because even when people are bragging on you and all this kind of stuff, that's more about how they feel about them too. So it goes in both directions. Okay, it goes in both directions. Don't think it's just one direction. But somebody else talked to me about something you may have had to change, something you thought about yourself, or something that you believe that you had to change.
Hey,
Okay, hi Chester.
hi. I just came in on the meeting, but you said something about taking things personal. With me coming up in the streets, I always took things personal. It was hard for me not to, because words do hurt people, and it's not easy to just say, "Oh, don't take it personal." That's why I'm where I'm at today, because I had to learn to be secure in myself and understand who I was.
Mm-hmm.
And understand what you just said. A lot of that people say that to hurt you because they're hurting. So yeah, so with me, sometimes I stumble along the way, but I always ask myself why. So yeah, it's easier said than done for a lot of us. And like I say, you go in and out of prisons working with inmates, and you know how it is. And you have to do the work to overcome what you're going through in prison. You have to. If you don't, you're not getting out. It's just that simple. You have to know how to change yourself and know how, when you feel a certain way, you have to be able to come find the support and talk to people about that. And a lot of times we won't do that. We won't express ourselves because we still have that closed, secure, insecure self of, well, how this person think about me. You know what I'm saying? And once you learn to grow out of that, you can withstand anything.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
Yeah.
Because it really does matter, right? Trying to get through, I think I've said to you guys before, one of the things that always amazes me going in and out of the prisons is how much psychological warfare there is, that I felt was unnecessary. And what happens is that to get past all that, you got to know who you are. And that's the most important relationship you're going to have, is that relationship that you have with yourself. You got to know who you are. You got to have a sense of security. So I could share this with you guys too. So this past week was like my granddaughter's second week at school. And so I'm babysitting her. And so I said, well, how was school? And she goes, it was fine. She said, well, the first day of school, she told me that she made a friend. And then this particular day, she said, I lost a friend. She said, I high-fived another girl and gave her a hug. And she got mad and she went and sat on a carpet of another color. She said, oh, well. And I was like, yes. Because who cares what they think? Now, I didn't say that to her. What I said to her was, I said, good for you, sweetheart. I said, because one thing you need to know, you're going to always have friends. You got family. You got a sister. You got your yaya that loves you. You got your mom and dad. You got cousins. I said, you're going to always, so you don't have to worry about looking for friends. You go to school to get an education. You don't go to school necessarily to get friends. If you have friends, that's great. But that's not the purpose for going to school, and you don't have to do that. And if she didn't understand that that you wanted to be friends with somebody else, then that's her problem. But for me, what I was so happy about was her attitude was like, oh, well,
Yeah,
I was
that's
like,
smart.
that, because if you are constantly concerned about what other people think, you're going to be very unhappy. Why? Because other people are subject to change their opinion. depending on what works for them on that particular day. Right? It don't have to be that it's the truth or anything. It's about what matters to them. Yes, ma'am.
I want to say, don't be afraid of your own feelings. Don't be afraid of it, because they're telling you something for a reason. Don't be afraid of it.
That is so good. It's really powerful too, because it's like pain is the body's way of giving you a clue that something is wrong, right? Or something's going on, something needs to be addressed. It could be as simple as I got gas, you know what I'm saying? And I take an antacid so I could burp, right? Or belch because babies burp. But anyway, I digress. But it is very important for you to realize that if you can never move on and heal if you're afraid of your own feelings. Nobody can process them for you. Nobody can process them for you. So, and to add another layer to that, Diane, is to say there's nothing wrong with what you feel. It's okay. And that's a statement you make all the time. You say that all the time, right? It's okay. No, it's okay. Even in the worst situations, you say that. You do. You say that all the time. It's because it is okay. It may not feel okay right at this moment, but ultimately it is okay.
See all the smoke, but trust me, it's gonna be okay.
See, and they thought I hung out with you just because you was cute. It's because you smart and you was important. Why did you hit him?
Because what you were just saying about how you feel about yourself in certain words you speak out of your mouth. We just remember I told you we had a conversation. We just had that conversation when we came here. And I was like, just listen to what I'm telling you. Don't say these things. But that's why I kept looking up there.
So why you quiet in the corner then? Because you should have surely been speaking up.
Can't get away, so I'm gonna be quiet. So
You gotta have your exit first. You gotta have a clear exit before you can start talking. Well, talk to me, sir. What's happening? What you?
She right now, she just always tell me. I think it's like growing up, like I said, in South Central, think negative a lot of times, and learning how to stop thinking negative. I'll go back to my roots and just apply the things that my parents and people taught me. Like stuff out there in the street, that's what I chose to do. But nowadays that I'm older, I'm starting to go what my mom said, my grandmother said, live that type of lifestyle. You know what I mean? I'm starting to see that it's better, and this is what I was meant to do. You know, going to work, you know, going home, doing this, going to group and stuff like that, church and stuff. Back when I was young, I didn't want to do none of that. I wanted to be a kid and run, trying to become how we say it, a grown man now. You know, and she's right here, guiding on the way, let me know that I told you so. Just think positive, it's gonna be all right.
I saw a meme recently on Facebook that said, I can't wait to be grown is the stupidest thing I have ever said in my entire life. And it's so true. Like, why did I want to be grown? Okay. But the reality is that so what you raise is an important point in this regard. And I think about when you said that, it made me think about the music industry and what is fed and pumped into our community. They would have us to believe, those forces that are outside of our community would have us to believe that we can fit into certain boxes. A way out for us is sports and entertainment. That's it. Everybody else is relegated to drugs, prison, and all that. Donald Trump called them black jobs. But the reality is that any job that there is that I decide that I could do is a black job. But what I say that to say that I had some friends been in the music industry for decades, and there were meetings held, and it was a concerted effort. It was a conscious effort to feed only certain things into our community through music. And it's an experiment that worked, because where did our community get Molly and all this stuff from? You know what I'm saying? Where did all that come from? Right? We're not chemists. We're not making that stuff up. We didn't even make crack. You see what I'm saying? All of these things were introduced to us. The AK-47, there's no manufacturing of the AK-47 in our neighborhood.
We take a step further on that note. There are no gun shops in the city of Chicago. Well, how about we start there? There are not. And I just know this from research.
Wow. And let me tell you what's really scary and sad about that is, so Chicago at one point had the #1 homicide rate and through gun violence. And then all of a sudden, Philadelphia started, my hometown started catching up. Like it was really getting bad. And one of my cousins is a doctor, and she was telling me that they were harvesting their organs. And so because I had done gang intervention, I knew enough about gangs that what was going on in Chicago didn't make sense to me. Because at that point, the CIA was out of the crack business. So there weren't going to be any more kingpins. So I didn't understand what's all the killing about? Because normally the killing was behind money. It wasn't just we hate each other. We wake up and we so violent and we hate each other. And that didn't make sense to me. So I was always perplexed about it. Not that I went to go do no research, but I was just, what is that about? Especially when you tell me over a holiday weekend, 34 people shot. What? So when my cousin tells me about the harvesting of organs, what they were doing in Pennsylvania or are doing is people coming in with no ID. And if you got an 18 to 30-year-old, I don't know any 18 to 30-year-old that don't have a cell phone. Not in today's times. But they were coming in with no cell phones, no ID, no nothing, and not having a name. So they ran out of Jane Doe, John Does. They ran out of those. So they started giving them trauma numbers. And the trauma numbers, they only had to leave them on life support for 72 hours. And then they began to harvest their corneas, their skin, their organs, all of those things that they harvested from them. And Pennsylvania had passed a law that you don't have to have family consent to harvest organs. So that made me think, So I started checking with folks that I knew in Chicago, and sure enough, they had heard prior to that it was an organ harvesting thing, and they were coming in, with no ID, none of these kinds of things. So yeah, it makes sense if somebody's getting paid to remove the ID and all this kind of stuff between when they get shot and when they get to the hospital. That's big business. Then to add injury to insult, I saw a documentary on a lady. She was doing a documentary that I can't remember where it was, but it was a foreign country where Haitian immigrants were coming. And the Haitian immigrants were being killed and they were harvesting their organs. So there's a huge, huge, huge business for that, which makes sense. So yeah, like you said, there's no gun shop in the city of Chicago, but where all the guns come from? And I have been told many times that they used to leave boxcars on the tracks in LA full of guns. And I used to think, because this is my naive self, didn't want to believe that, whatever, who's doing that? Till I met some of the people that got them guns, and they told me, oh yeah, they would leave the boxcar open, stop the train, leave the boxcar sitting there with cases of weapons in it. So this is an experiment when you talk about environment and what we think about ourselves and what we think we're relegated to. If I can program into an entire community that all you can do is this, 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 and this, if I program into the women that the only value they have is their behind and their breasts and twerking, then what are they reaching for. And it is psychological programming to the point that we don't even realize that we're being programmed. And we're an experiment that went extremely well because we're not paying attention to what we allow ourselves to entertain. So the thing that really inspired me about my granddaughter was that meant that her mom had conversations with her to let her know you are okay whether that little girl wants to be your friend or not. Nobody could tell her, I'm still okay. I can hug and high five this other little girl until I get tired. And if you don't like that, you don't have to be my friend. Go sit on another carpet. Bye. But it didn't affect who she was. And that was the one thing with her that I worried about because she's such a sensitive soul. You know, she's a real deep thinker. She's sensitive and all that. And I was like, ooh, I don't want them to hurt her feelings, but I knew she would get over it eventually. So again, what is it that you tell yourself, right? These are things that we believe and we feed into these stereotypes. We believe when somebody tells us you're not good enough. We believe. So one of the things, for example, that Don Miguel Ruiz also said is that the only reason that you would be offended by something somebody said is if you agree with it somewhere along the way. Something in you believes what they said. So, and I would add this to it, that you believe it and you're offended by it or ashamed of it. So I've told this story many times before. The lady called me a fat bald head bitch. Okay. That didn't bother me. It didn't bother me at all. I'm bald head by choice, baby. And if I decide to do something about my weight, I could do that too. I don't need you to, you know what I'm saying? So and it didn't matter to me. But if I was insecure or ashamed or whatever, then I would have been hurt by that. That would have been a wound. And then I would have felt the need to respond to that. But it don't bother me. Hair, well, hell, I can grow that. You
can buy
You
that.
can buy it if you can't grow it.
Hair, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, and you know what I'm saying? That just wasn't a thing for me. And so again, the only way it can hurt you is if you somewhere deep down inside agree that it's a problem and that it applies to you. So I just want us to be encouraged to be impeccable with what we think about ourselves. I was telling somebody, okay, this is a practical step. How do you get past where you are right now? The minute that you have the old thought, train your mind to think of what you want to see happen in that situation. So, give you an example. I'm afraid that if I let my children go to the mall, and that's probably not a good, because I ain't gonna do that no matter what. I was thinking, believe what you want to see, what you want to happen. So I'll say, I'm going to this job interview, and I know I have this criminal background, and they say they take people, but I don't really know if they do or not. I don't know if they're going to take, whatever, right? So what you do, instead of thinking about that, focusing on that, focus on and train your brain to say, they're going to hire me because I'm the best person for this job. They're going to hire me because of this. Focus even on, and you know how they say, fake it till you make it? Your subconscious only knows what you tell it. So it doesn't care whether you joke it or not. That's why you can't joke around about yourself and say, oh, I'm so horrible. I'm so this, and say all them negative things. Because what happens, you bring that to you. So so the practical thing to do, this is a step-by-step. I have this negative thought. Oh, this is not going to work out. What was that show? Was it My Favorite Mark? We'll never make it. I know we won't. I think it was My Favorite Martian, right? They stuck on this play. Okay, so if you say you'll never make it, and they never did make it, come to think of it, that TV series. But if you say to yourself, I want to go here, but these things are standing in my way. See yourself getting past those things. See yourself overcoming those obstacles. Think about what you're doing. Visualize yourself kicking down that door and going through the way you want. You create in your mind the vision of what you want to see, and you think about that and not what you don't. Constantly remind yourself, this is what I want it to look like. I want this to be the end result. So that's what I'm seeing in my mind. I'm going to see that and I focus on that. Why? Because that's going to bring to me what I'm looking for, what I do want versus what I don't. Okay? It's very important because only you can do this for you. Only you could do this for you. Hey, Terrell, where are you at, player? Terrell? Oh, you're not here now, huh? Okay. That's gonna have me come to you, Miss Jamali.
That's not-
I'm here. I'm just listening to you. I'm just listening.
Miss Jamali. Then I'm gonna come back to you, Terrell. Talk to me.
Something that I struggled with was, I'm still kind of struggling with it, is when I was away, just the separation from my children and the bond that I lost. And then when I came home, just trying to make up the lost times in the wrong ways by giving them things instead of relearning them and recreating a bond with them. It took a toll on our relationship, and it's still something that we're working on till this day. So that's something that I definitely am struggling with.
So what I would encourage you to forgive yourself for being away, because that often stands in the way. There's a sense of guilt for not being there, for having been removed from them. And what that does is just clean your slate. Give yourself a clean slate. Because whatever happened, you didn't do anything with the intention. You didn't wake up one morning and say, you know what, I'm going to go do this so I can ruin my kid's life. That never happened. Whatever the circumstance, I have no idea what happened. But I'm just saying that I've never met a person who did that. I don't care what kind of crime they committed. So whatever it was. So now that the goal again, and something Cheryl says all the time, which is you can never make up that time. So if you put that aside and understand, I think what you've already come to the conclusion and understand now, which is that you can only go forward. You can build on what it is today and remember that you're still mom. You're still the guiding force. How old are they?
My son is going to be 19 and my daughter is 14.
Oh yeah. The daughter you probably can do a lot with.
I think she's the one I feel less connected to, because I went away when she was 3. So she was my mom is her mom.
Yeah, but you know what though? Where you are now, where she is now, like in that head in that puberty and all that, you can have great influence. You can have great influence. This is a time, and it's a matter of being there. So yes, you were separated, and now she's in a great spot for you to be there for her. And I wouldn't worry so much about the relationship that she has with your mom. You know what I mean? You're right. Tony said it was necessary if you didn't hear her, but it's always you're always her mom. And let me tell you this: no matter what, she always wanted her mom. Even when she had your mom, she wanted her mom. So now that she has it, Terrell always says this: just give him time, right? And slow walk it. And I think something you said was so powerful and really positive, which is get to know her, right? Get to know who she is, not what you would want her to be or even something else what you remember her to be.
That's the hard part.
Right, because you remember the 3-year-old. You remember the 3-year-old. She's not that 3-year-old anymore. There are elements of her that are still going to be the 3-year-old. There are. right? But there are parts of her that have changed. They've matured. They've evolved because she's a little older and she's experienced some things. And because you were away, there are things that she had to mature about pretty quickly, even as a 3-year-old, right? She had to grow into some things, but just know. And the reason I feel comfortable in telling you this is that we have 5 3-bedroom units set aside for former emancipated foster youth. And all of them, the one challenge we have the most is that they always want to move their mothers in. So just know that loving you is a priority for her. And I want to say this, at 14, she crazy as hell. Every 14-year-old I know, they crazy as hell. Okay, don't you take that on like that's you. No, that's her. them, them hormones raging. They're somewhere between children and adults. At 14, I had to tell my son, baby, I know you wake up in the morning and you mad with me as soon as you wake up. And I understand because I can remember waking up feeling like that about your grandmother. But the truth of the matter was, she hadn't done nothing to me. So this is what I'm gonna suggest to you. When you feel that way about me, take your ass in your room because I will fuck you up in my house. Okay? I just need you to understand. I need you to get it. This is my house. And you ain't gonna treat me like that and I ain't did you nothing. You're not doing that. But okay, let me tell you another thing too. So I managed Little League football for a lot of years. And the first 2 years, I had 13, 14, and 15-year-olds. And I promise you, every one of the kids on my team that I hated, they were the 14-year-old. So I'm saying that to say, and these were little boys, and they were all, it's something about that age. And when my son got 14, I didn't like him very much either. So there's a lot, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot going on in that situation. And you being patient and just being the mom and sharing with her the things. And like Diane said, let her get to know you as well. You said, let her see who you are and it will be there. And thank you for saying that, even though you was like, oh, me? I appreciate you.
Thank you for listening.
Terrell, what was you talking about, Terrell?
No, what was your question?
Okay, so my question was, any thoughts on the topic? What's cracking? Anything that you had to change how you thought about yourself that made things different for you?
Hell no, I think highly of myself, and I'm doing what I got to do while I'm out here. So I don't fuck who don't like it, straight up. Because all the time I did in prison, I don't blame that on anybody. Don't nobody owe me anything. I don't point fingers. I take accountability and responsibility for everything I've done. And I'm just moving forward in my life. And I have to navigate how I have to navigate my life, regardless of my kids, my family, my parents, whoever the fuck. Because this is my life and nobody has walked in my shoes. And I have to continue to move forward in order to grow. And I can't allow any negative aspect or energy to settle in me anywhere to distort my positive thoughts and I'm high strung.
But
So
this is my question, because see, you didn't wake up like that. You wasn't always like that. There had to be something somewhere along
you
the
said
way.
since I've been when you say how I feel today.
No, I said, is there anything that you had to?
And that's what you said. You said, is there anything that I have to change?
Not have to, had to. Is there anything that any belief that you had about yourself or anything that you believed either about society or otherwise that you had to adjust so that you could be where you are now?
I would say being more by myself. You know what I'm saying? Spending more time by myself, enjoying, because in prison I stay by myself. So being home and free, I choose to be by myself. Like now, I choose to be in my place by myself. Being solitary is very calm and collective and soothing for me. So just having my own space, that was something that I had to do. And just enjoying the simple things. You know what I'm saying? And what I really had to do is not be a breadwinner for a lot of people that I was before I left. Get it how you live. You know what I'm saying? And not be responsible or take accountability for other grown folks or whoever. You know, even my children, I love them to death, but I can't make them anything or make them do anything because they've been growing without me. I just have to respect that and have to continue to be there for them. But there's things that I had to understand about what I needed to do coming home from prison to get myself together. And that was to focus on myself and be selfish with my reentry, with my getting my shit together. You know what I'm saying? And fuck who don't like it. And the thing about it is when you have children like Jamil, is that your name? How you pronounce your name? Huh?
Jamali.
Jamali? Jamali?
Jamali.
Jamali. So just like Jamali, 2 times I went to prison, my children was 3 and 1, and then 3 and 4. So I repeated the cycle over twice. And I learned that coming home after 11 years and after 8 years, I had to let my children live their life, live my life, and allow them to grow to want to learn and be around me or want me to be their father in their life, regardless of what they've been through. And that's something that you have to, as a parent, loving your kids and wanting your kids to be how you see it and how you want the relationship to be. That was something that I had to understand. You can't make anybody do anything you want, and you can't make things be the way you want them to be. But you can pray on it and do your part. Do your part and pray on it. But you can't control anybody else's actions. And that was something that I definitely had to let go of because, being a father, I'm protective of mine, and I want to see them have the best and whatever. But they have their own mindset. They grew up with a lot of bullshit teachings and a lot of bullshit pain and hurt that happened because I wasn't there and other reasons. But I don't take that stuff on, and I just know that me getting myself together and being the best father I could be is going to help them. You know what I mean? So
When you said it, it
For
says
me, I don't want to dictate like how they feel about me. I just know for sure I want to continue to work on myself to pick up tools to be able to recreate or to have a bond with them that I once had before. As a mom, leaving your kids is that's not a easy pill to swallow. And then just to say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna have to let you figure it out. No, like that was my mistake from being removed. So I know I have to put more effort into fixing the problem I created.
well, you know what it is? I think it's actually more patience, baby. I think it's more patience, right? Just being patient with them. What it means is you got to take a little bit more, a little bit more crap off of them in one sense, I guess. But at the same time, you're here, you paid your debt to society, and now you're trying to make amends. And that again, I think it just requires patience. Because I think you said it between what you said and what Diane said is you getting to know them and let them get to know you, right?
Yeah.
Because who went into the penitentiary is not who came out.
Definitely not.
That's not the same person. That is not the same Jamali. That's just not who you are. It's not even possible, right? So something somewhere along the way changed, and now you have to. They have to get to know that mom, and you have to get to know these older children. And so, and then another thing too, I think with the difference between being being one female and one male, moms and boys, they're just different, right? That relationship is different. That bond is different. The way it's seen and the way it's perceived is just different. So I just want to encourage you to stay strong, and thank you for again for opening up and letting us know. I'm going to ask uh, Patrick if you have any additional comments or thoughts. You did it. There you
My
go.
comments are, my comments are, just be aware of what we believe and what we want, and strive to be better. We talk this when I all the time. Same thing over again.
Wait a minute, your microphone, baby. Hold your microphone, sweetie. Oh, back up from the computer.
Doing the same.
Okay, go ahead.
Stop doing what doesn't work and start doing what does.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate you so. Chester, any final comments or thoughts from you, sir? Oh, he stepped away. So I'll go in the room. And Tony, I'll start with you since we're right on this, start this way. Any final thoughts from you about the topic?
I think, to Guy's point about, he said, kind of like believing yourself, your word. You also have to battle with not allowing someone else to dictate who you are. Today, I see, or to dictate how you feel about yourself. Today, narcissist or narcissism is this humongous topic that people talk about on a constant basis, but some of it is narcissism and some of it is what you have allowed someone to affect into your brain and take your worth away from you or your thoughts away from you. So I think it's not only you leaning into what you think about yourself, but also understanding that you can't let someone else overtake their opinion.
Absolutely, because when we allow someone else's opinion of us to mean more than our own opinion, we have, by mistake or whatever other reason, created an idol out of them. And we have given them the power to affect us. And what that does is it means it's got to fall. Miss Cheryl?
People have to really believe in themselves and say, you have to have a truth about yourself and speak that truth into existence, because that's what you're doing. It's like in the Bible, when he created the earth, he spoke the earth into existence. That's why whatever comes out your mouth, you're speaking into the universe. And for me, God is the universe. So the universe is going to make its way around to whether you want to die or to whether you want to live. So if you want success, you're going to get success. If you keep pity partying and crying, you're going to get that. When my mom died, what did I want? I wanted to grieve her, and I would have died grieving her had Susan Bird not come along and had me come back to work. But the mind is a powerful thing, and you manipulate your own mind.
Yeah.
From the negative. Turn it. If you got friends that all they do is say, girl, why you doing that? Ooh, you're so wrong. You're so wrong. Get rid of them. Right? Get the friends who want you to excel.
Go sit on another carpet, another color carpet.
Another color carpet. Yeah, that's a good.
Okay. Exactly. Miss Berta?
I appreciated all the information this evening. I enjoyed the talk.
Wonderful. Miss Di?
I'm gonna say it again, do not be afraid of your own feelings. Your feelings matter too. Not everybody else's feelings matter. Your feelings matter too.
Right.
Absolutely, sir, in the corner over there.
Learned today that some intelligent people right here in this room. You know what I mean? I'm not just saying this because you got me cornered right now. But that's why there's a lot of people here. Like every time I come here, I get a good feel.
Get a little nugget, huh?
Yeah, I learned a little bit more, you know?
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's wonderful. Mr. Doyle?
I can't hear anything he's saying.
Oh, wait, okay, so I'm gonna have to come back there to you because they can't hear you. 1 second. Oh, yeah, how about you? Yeah, you come up, yeah, because they can't hear you. I'm sorry. Thank you, Jamali.
especially myself. So about women, there's no beginning and no end.
Mhm.
And it's always a topic where we should be looking forward to the next thing. Because it's always one of the most powerful topics man can get involved in. And it was mankind themselves who said, a man must see the most so it's up, they would reach to the top of the Empire State Building and still no one has any answers. So as this, I'm on this topic again because I would really like to write something about this and then just have the rain to read it into this get together that we have.
I would love that. You know, I always like it when we talk about what you guys want to talk about. And I definitely love it. The idea that he might write something and then we can make that the topic of discussion. That is absolutely something I'm interested in doing. So get to writing. That's awesome. Mr. Ben, can any thoughts for you? Come closer so they can hear you. Uh-huh.
I like the first word we talked when we started. It's really I am who I am. Who I am. This afternoon I talked with Mrs. Diana. I said, Mrs. Diana, this I go to the meeting tonight because I got to go some parts and I don't know what time I'm going to finish. And she said, be positive.
And here you are.
I came 15 minutes after 5 to, I don't know, I just said, my mom asked me, I go to the meeting? I said, yes. Why is late? You come late. You know, Mrs. Diana said, I have to be positive.
Oh.
Okay.
So it sounds to me, Miss Di, that you just run around spitting knowledge all over everywhere, all over town. She a bully. That she is. She is a bully. But she a bully for positive information though. She a bully for positive information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then one more thing, Ben wants to say something.
Yes, I want to finish this. I'm positive or I'm negative?
Mm-hmm.
Who really I am?
Mm-hmm.
I have to be positive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's if I'm positive, I believe really who I am. Positive like.
That's all right. Positive Ben. We like positive Ben. And we like positive, all of us. Chester, I wanted to give you an opportunity to have any final thoughts about making sure that you think the positive things about yourself and would be impeccable what you tell yourself about yourself. And you can be our last checkout.
Yeah, the topic for me made me think back in the past about who I am today and who I was then. A lot of times in the past, I made a lot of bad decisions based on what people said because I had insecurity in myself. But today, as I learned through a lot of classes, like Terrell said, I don't worry about what somebody else say. You know what I'm saying? I try to think positive, stay positive, and keep moving forward. And this topic brings a lot of information about what we should do in life. Don't worry about the next person. You know what I'm saying? I do what works for me today because I've done the work, to get out. I earned my way out. They just didn't let me out. Right. And I had to learn some things about myself to get out. So it enlightened me, so I'm like, yeah, today, this is what it is. I stay positive. I give myself positive self-talk. I work every day. I treat people how I want to be treated, and the ones that don't, act ignorant, I just stay away from. Simple as that. So, like you said about your little granddaughter, just ignore them. Oh well, that's something you got to deal with.
That's
Today
right.
is what you see is what you get.
That's right.
So, yeah.
I love it. I just want to say to everybody, thank you guys for being here. And one thing, last thing that occurred to me that has come up a couple times and I didn't say, and I don't want to leave without saying this is this. You are not responsible for what other people's expectations of when you make a choice for your life. When you do things for you, for your life, you are not responsible for how somebody else feels about that. I don't care what the relationship is. If you know it's the best thing for you in your life and you're doing that because it's the best thing for you, that is what you're responsible for first. Terrell mentioned all the people that he was a provider for before he went to prison. People are good for saying, man, we've been waiting on you to come home. We so glad you come home. Why? Y'all survived 10 years without me. Clearly, you don't need me to be here. So don't start expecting me to go back to whatever it was that made your life better and made me have to do all the work. So I just want to encourage us and say to you guys, thank you for checking in with us on Freed to Heal. Thank you guys for being here. I want to encourage everybody, have a positive week. And we'll see you all next week again on Freed to Heal. Check us out on all social media sites. We're everywhere. And we'll see you guys next week. Toodles.
Bye.
Bye.